So I was just talking and I was like, I should make a video. Like, this is significant in my life story right now. I'm gonna try to not take up too much time, but I trust no one and I trust nothing, okay? Like, that's the first thing to be said. The second thing to be said is I realized one of my major components of my lifetime is like rock music, uh, because rock music is how a soul talks about reality. I also want to talk about how everything is super meaningful all the time, and I don't know if that's because I've been thinking and pushing towards logic and understanding and math and science, so things are starting to kind of like go like like this, but they're starting to like all work together like synergy. You feel me? But or if it's just that all the time for anyone, everything's always meaningful, and it's just about getting your like thinking clear enough and pattern recognizing enough to start noticing how something that happened yesterday actually connects to something that's happening today, and how it's trying to tell you something about a question that you're asking, that you need an answer to, and how it all like is actually like in the middle of these boring moments or moments of dissatisfaction or moments of I'm not sure this is even relevant to anything, but I just don't have the time to look for some other like video or like whatever it is that I'm having in the background while I'm doing something. But then later it turns out that like it was actually absolutely important about something that you didn't even know you forgot about, like rock music. So what happened was I found my way out of the what would be the word? There's the monoculture. The monoculture is always on, and you know, to use a word that is more familiar to people, it's like the Matrix. Like the Matrix program is always on, but like the monoculture is always on. And today I found the break out of the monoculture, like that, like clear seeing of what's happening. I found it after, first of all, someone left me a comment, and I don't read my comments because I'm like, I don't trust anyone. I can't afford to trust anyone. It makes no sense to trust anything. Like, it just, it's not mathematically like congruent. I'm like, I'm not doing this to talk to people. I'm like, I don't trust you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, this person might be, and here comes this like guilt train. It's like this person might be whatever, but there are certain things that are like patterns that I'm seeing, and I'm like, I don't want to conversate. I don't trust what this is. That's my feeling, like in my body, in my gut. I'm like, I don't trust this. I don't want to go toward this. But what's the reason? I'm like, ain't no reason. Do you not know about like? Let me school you a little bit on some basic concepts of self-preservation or like being in the state of war. So like, how does someone get one over on you? And I'm saying this as somebody who had the realization, which is when I snapped out of the monoculture for today. Now the monoculture might take over my mind in like 3 hours, but for right now, I'm kind of more or less in like a clear state. Someone can come up to you and with a clear evil expression tell you that they like are going to force you to like do what they want you to do. Like when I was a teenager, for example, I had a relative that I lived with, and he would scream and sometimes throw things, and he would be screaming about how I was worthless and that he wished I never was born, and that like he was gonna control my life. Like that's a very obvious, direct, like no manipulation expression of I am bad for you and I'm trying to like infiltrate you, and I am like violence to you and you are prey or you are victim. You feel me? That's a clear, although the state of this reality and existence that we are in as human beings is so bad, like the Matrix bitch, like the Matrix bitch, like the Matrix bitch. I'm talking about the, like, essential understanding of your position as a living, conscious, intelligent being in a reality. People talk about the simulation hypothesis. I don't know if it's true or not, but it doesn't really matter. I'm like, it still works as an example, as a thing to use to try to explain, like, reality, existence is essentially not good for you, like, as a person, because it's not, the monoculture is like happening. It's like sinking. It's like the indoctrination of the monoculture is always on. It's like whenever you start to get close to, like, just saying a sentence is just pure and simple, it just revs the fuck up. Because if people understand, like, what Buddhism was trying to say, which I realized as well, like, very simply, with zero ego, not about me, but just, like, realizing what people are always trying to avoid. Like, the first tenet of Buddhism is birth is suffering. And all it's trying to say is, it's like, being born into this existence is not a good thing or a neutral thing. You're born to be a victim, not because you're born in as like a you're like a lab animal in some scientist's lab, and that scientist doesn't give a fuck about you. And so for you, as the living consciousness with intelligence and a highly developed, like, sentience that feels and has a soul, that is a bad predicament. It's the predicament of being a victim. The scientists might not be trying to victimize you, or they may be trying to victimize you, but they are, at the end of the day, whichever one it is, I'm like, you're still a victim, because it doesn't care about your suffering. The same way the Matrix doesn't give a fuck about your suffering. Like, it doesn't care that you're in some pod, in some lie that you don't have any clue of. That's not a good predicament for you. It doesn't respect you. And so every time everyone says the word God, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, stop using that term with me. It is a complete, like, that is the beginning place of all lies. And, like, the second you use the God term, you can be a spiritual person who's not into religion. You can be somebody using, I mean, if you're a Buddhist, you would never use the word God, but even they do. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, that word is the beginning place of all inability to perceive reality. Unless, of course, you're talking about, like, a demiurge style concept, but they never do. They never do. That's not what they're talking about. And so the whole point is, how do you achieve well-being? You have to, well, let me back up a little bit. Let me back up. So I was there's like 3 different things I could, like, talk about, and, like, I don't know which one to choose. Slight ego moment, because I'm like, oh, I'm cool. I'm like thinking, like, right, but that's like a trap, because something's always trying to flatter you, to make you fall into a state of mind that is less sober and less, like, on its toes and, like, nimble and able to really, like, perceive things as they are, because flattery causes, like, pride, actually. I'm like, oh, that's when, like, the religious fucks are actually talking about the science of psychology, when something that wants to keep you as its victim is trying to find a way to depower you. So, like, so maybe, like, the deathly sins are actually legit. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. I'm just saying, because as long as I'm not falling into the trap of ego, I'm basically, like, balancing my way forward on, like, a beam through the monoculture, trying to tip me over into kind of, like, going back into, like, a hazy state of mind where I'm just in normal perception of life, where I can't sense the truth of anything, because people are always lying. People are always lying, and most of the time people are lying because they're not aware of what, like, themselves. They're not really conscious. Like, so I've watched all the 4 Matrix movies now. I didn't watch them completely, because I just couldn't be bothered. I'm like, I don't care about this, like, journey that you're trying to take me through. Movies are sometimes boring to me in that way. I'm like, I just want you to present me with the main points of, like, this storyline. Like here's like when this part resolved for this storyline, and this is what you did with that. I want to like see what the story you told was, because everyone in this world like regards the Matrix. Like most people in like the computer using like Western culture is the reigning culture of their reality world are aware of the Matrix, but I wasn't until like this last month. I mean, I heard about it, but I never watched it. But the point is, I watched even this the 2021 Resurrections one, and I'm like, my God, this is so painful to watch, you know? However, if you take away all the like crap that it makes you feel when you're watching it, there are like ideas that are perfectly perfect in there. Like when some people who have like, did they call them bots in the movie? I don't know, but they basically have like a sleeper bot consciousness in their consciousness. They're normal people, they have girlfriends and pets and apartments and jobs, but then they have like a sleeper bot consciousness, you know? And like at some point, as Neo is escaping with Trinity, the entire Matrix or the entire monoculture is trying to attack them to make sure they don't succeed. And like a normal person with a sleeper bot consciousness in their subconscious somewhere, the program is there, you know, like wakes up out of sleeping, and their girlfriend is like, "What's up? Oh my God, Robert, are you okay?" You know, and then like Robert just like is like his eyes go digital and like dark, and then he jumps out of he like runs to the window of his high-rise apartment building, like breaks through the glass, and like is like trying to use his body as like a projectile to like fall onto the motorcycle that Neo and Trinity are on, because he's trying to like the Matrix or the monoculture is trying to like, you know, attack them, like you know what I mean, just like in the most like weird way with like, oh, you're just trying to body smash them to kill them. That is so like weirdly like not intelligent, like what the fuck, but whatever, it's like it'll do anything. And so I think most people are like that. And so when someone's leaving me a comment, like I have a question, I'm like, I don't care about your question. Now, if you're a normal person and you genuinely have a question, because you genuinely care about like this person you saw and they're having a struggle and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm sorry. But you have to, but like what I'm like wanting to vote for inside my own like way of, it's not even a way, inside my own guiding principles that guide my choices and my actions, because your actions and your choices is like the power seat. And I'm like, look, like I'm so sick of living with people when they're always trying, like, I'm just a normal person, I care about you. I'm like, that might be true, but I'm in the middle of a war. Now you may think that's funny because I'm some girl, but I'm not like a naive consciousness. I'm like, I've read Night by Elie Wiesel. I've read the African American history books. I have heard of the E-Files. I see the world and all the wars that are happening. I know the way that children suffer. I am looking at all this. I'm looking at my own poverty lock on my life. I'm looking at all the things that haven't happened for me as far as they're not dreams. They're like the things that I was supposed to become as the seed of consciousness that I am, and that hasn't happened yet. I see all the work that I would have to like do and achieve. I see all of the ways in which I would have to push the world back, fight the world, and succeed against the world to make all those things come to pass. And then you're coming in to my space out of somewhere trying to talk about I'm just a normal person caring about you, and I'm saying I cannot trust you. I don't trust you. I don't feel trust in my body. I don't want this. And the whole point is not that person, but it's like, what choice are you going to make? I'm like, well, there's guilt in my body that's saying, well, they don't mean anything, and how are you going to build? I'm like, I'm not trying to build a channel. How are you going to be a successful channel? I don't want a successful channel. How you're supposed to interact? I'm like, I know, but I don't want to. I don't trust this. That makes no sense. Yes, it does. And it's like the moment of like, how are you going to? What are you going to choose to guide your actions? Are you going to stay with like your sense of like? I know it's the monoculture because I've achieved enough sobriety and enough power to stomach the recognition of my state as a victim in being born into existence. The monoculture, 99% of people around me, 99.9% of people around me do not have that. And so it's like, how are you going to make choices? The choice I want to make is I'm not going to respond. And it doesn't matter. I'm like, I mean nothing to you. But if I get sucked into something that's actually a trap for me, I lose so much. And I also, beyond that, I'm like, I'm so curious to see what happens when I go with myself and my own sense. Like, I'm like, I sense this. It will not make sense to anyone. 99% of people. It cannot. Because living in the monoculture, you guys are either conscious evil who benefit from, you are like the thing, or you are clueless. And I'm like, it's weird to try to talk about like how big it is. Like, it's so big. It's all, because it's the suggestion then for people. It's like, well, if you live that way, it means that like all the time. I'm like, have you met life? Have you met life? Maybe this is like the silver lining of trauma. When you have a bunch of things go bad for you all the time and you're in a lot of pain your whole fucking lifetime. It, like, if you survive that, if you still keep going, because that's how much you love life and that's how much you like love yourself, because you're like, I'm not gonna allow evil to claim me as a battle that it won for itself in this war against, like, it's not really a war. It's like it created life and it didn't care about its feelings, or that it has like a will, a sentience, and